un honneur pour nous que vous veniez mettre les enfants au centre de l'agenda national. Nous sommes tous prêts pour vous.
Hello, how are you? Good,
écouter.
good. Thanks.
Bon.
Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, members of Parliament and Government, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the midterm review of the Program of Cooperation between the Government of Georgia and UNICEF. Thank you all very much for attending this meeting, and I would like to give the floor to His Excellency the Prime Minister of Georgia for his opening remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants. At the outset, I would like to seize this opportunity and once again express my gratitude to UNICEF and for its highly valuable activities in Georgia. We very much appreciate your help. The government of Georgia appreciates UNICEF assistance in creating better policies for children in different fields, including education, health, and social protection. And we believe that 2011-2015 country program elaborated by UNICEF is an important instrument to address the existing challenges and help the government to fulfill its commitments to children. The government of Georgia has proclaimed the protection of human rights as a cornerstone of its domestic and foreign policy. The testimony to this is the ongoing work on elaboration of the National Human Rights Strategy and Action Plan. We actively cooperated with all relevant stakeholders to ensure further promotion of fundamental rights and freedoms. Being a state party to most of the main UN human rights instruments, Georgia continues taking necessary measures to further harmonize national legislation with international standards. Important efforts were made in 2013 to guarantee better implementation of the United Nations human rights treaties and recommendations of the treaty-based bodies. Georgia has submitted the national reports under several international treaties, including the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And in December 2013, the government of Georgia, upon its own voluntary pledge, submitted the midterm report on the implementation of recommendations received within the Universal Periodic Review. So currently the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is finalizing the fourth periodic report of Georgia on the implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which will be submitted in the nearest future with the kind support of the UNICEF office in Georgia. The issue of child protection is of high importance for Georgia and for our government. Children are our past, our present, and our future. All children have rights everywhere and at all times, and all children's rights are equally important and interrelated. As you are aware, Georgia is a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child and the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography, and to the optional protocol of the rights to the child on the involvement in armed conflicts, as well as to the Convention on the civil aspects of international child abduction. Therefore, the protection of the rights of children is of utmost priority for the country. Our country is actively involved in the child care system reform and spares no efforts to ensure full protection of the rights of the child, including the rights to education and health care. Georgia actively takes part in harmonization of domestic legislation in line with the Convention on the Rights of the Child vis-à-vis child care reform. And to this end, in April 2012, the government adopted a National Action Plan 2012-2015 for child welfare and protection, and established an Interagency Coordination Council for the implementation of the NAP. It fully reflects the priorities of the state in reforming child welfare system and in enforcing its commitments undertaken under the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. In July 2012, the Parliament of Georgia criminalized domestic violence. According to the amendments, domestic violence committed against juveniles or against family members of a juvenile in his or her presence is an aggravating circumstance. And to support public health, Georgia in February 2013 launched its flagship program of universal health care. And the program has ensured health care coverage for more than 2 million previously uninsured populations, including for children and women. In addition, special government programs were enacted, for example, treatment of pediatric cancers and supplemental immunization against measles, and to improve children's health care and accessibility to high-quality care. The establishment of the crisis centers is considered by the government as a crucial necessity for addressing the problems of homeless, for example, street children. And the activity of such crisis centers is oriented towards rehabilitation and reestablishment of educational care and professional programs in accordance with the child interests. And such institutions provide homeless children with rehabilitation services that ensure their full reintegration into society. The government of Georgia spares no efforts to assist children affected by displacement and to ensure living conditions for them, inter alia through extended social and economic assistance programs and the implementation of a comprehensive strategy. However, we believe that the only durable solution for all IDPs and refugees is a safe and dignified return to their homes. While discussing UNICEF programs in Georgia, I cannot but mention its activities in the occupied region in Abkhazia, focusing on healthcare, immunization, and social protection of the conflict-affected children. Unfortunately, children residing inside the occupied regions continue to be deprived of their rights to free movement, educations in the mother tongue, and healthcare, and the rights which they are entitled to not only under the Constitution of Georgia, but also under the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The human rights situation, including for children, has been further affected in 2013 by intensification of the installation of barbed wire fences and other artificial obstacles along the occupation line in the Tskhin Valley and Abkhazia region. And the government of Georgia has been responding to the most pressing humanitarian and development needs for the affected population, including through construction of primary health care centers. So the latter is another priority area for our partnership in the next biennium, as we say. And to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to once again express my sincere appreciation for UNICEF's endeavors to contribute to the well-being of children and reiterate the readiness of my government to continue fruitful cooperation to ensure the protection of their fundamental rights and freedom. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Prime Minister, since you spoke English, I will do the same. Your Excellency, thank you for being here. I think your presence and the presence of so many ministers and partners in this room already convinces me that children are very firmly on the center of Georgians' national agenda. I want to welcome the other members of this esteemed government, members of parliament, representatives of the diplomatic corps, of different international agencies, civil society. It is really an honor for me to be here with you today on the occasion of the midterm review of the program of cooperation between UNICEF and the government of Georgia for the period 2011-2015. At this midpoint of our journey, we have a unique opportunity to assess our program performance against the expected results of the program. The Prime Minister just gave us a rundown, and we can identify changes, strategic changes if needed, for our engagement to children to become more relevant and pertinent to face challenges and the opportunities ahead. Allow me to begin by celebrating the results achieved by the program of cooperation and by acknowledging with appreciation the government of Georgia's pivotal role in improving the situation of children through its firm commitment to poverty alleviation and children's rights. Our partnership has been contributing to the government's efforts to ensure that by the end of 2015, more children and mothers benefit from quality, integrated, and decentralized social services that address major disparities. Notable advances have been made to ensure equitable access and quality of education, early child development, maternal and child health, social and protection services for all children, and particularly those most vulnerable and excluded. We've done that through policy frameworks, strengthening systems in line with international standards and with the participation of the Georgian population. However, Georgia still has the second highest rate of income inequality in Europe. Rates for extreme child poverty have decreased from 9.4% in 2011 to 6% in 2013. And the rate of socially excluded children has also declined from 9% in 2009 to 7% in 2011. However, the number of children below the national poverty line has increased from 25% to 27% in 2013. The recent adoption of universal health care and the doubling of the targeted social assistance payments are clear testaments that there is a strong political commitment to inclusion, taking a center stage in Georgia's new model of development. However, children face higher risk of extreme poverty than any other group in the country. While extreme poverty in children is 3.9%, let's say 4%, extreme poverty in the rest, when the extreme poverty in the general population is about 4%, in children it reaches 6%. So the Parliament of Georgia has initiated the development of the preschool education law and is working on universal access to school readiness for all 5-year-old children. The child care system reform in Georgia has made significant progress. Comprehensive changes have been introduced at all levels, and today, 2/3 of the children who were living in large-scale state institutions are back in families, 1,000 of them in their own family, and about 1/3 in foster care. Strengthening of social work has been a very key component of this system. So UNICEF considers that this experience, if properly evaluated and documented in all its dimensions, not just the deinstitutionalization aspect, can be certified as a good practice and serve as a reference for the region as a whole. The reform system process needs now to focus on providing adequate care and protection for children with disabilities. Much progress has been made for children in conflict with the law, and the number of children in detention has been cut by half after the juvenile crime prevention strategy of 2011-2014 was adopted. The country is now moving to the next stage, and agreement has been reached on a justice for children policy, which covers all criminal, civil, and administrative aspects of the justice system to serve all children in their best interests. Mr. Prime Minister, increased investments of your government in the health and education sectors present huge opportunities for addressing remaining challenges in the country. Maternal mortality is the highest, and under 5 mortality, the 3rd highest in Europe and Central Asia. More than 1,000 children below the age of 5 died in 2012, a tragedy for each of these families. 300 of these children died because of malnutrition. And if no action is taken, the burden of malnutrition alone will be around 1.3 billion over the next years, when we actually know simple low-cost solutions that could make a very quick difference. According to the OECD, 2/3 of the 15-year-olds are not proficient in math, reading, and science, and that result is about 3 times the European average. How will Georgia move forward without skilled and educated Georgians to realize the Georgia 2020 vision and join the European family? Half of all children, 70% amongst the poor, do not have access to preschool, which significantly affects children's school readiness and educational achievements. There are significant differences cognitive, social, and emotional development between children from the rich or poor backgrounds. As we concluded in our conference last June, investing in early childhood development is the most cost-effective strategy to increase a nation's human capital, to reduce poverty, and overcome inequities. And I'm looking at the Minister of Finance when I'm saying this, because the others are already convinced, including the Prime Minister. Reducing child poverty, yes, reducing child poverty and mortality, improving quality learning for all children, guaranteeing the rights of all children to grow up in a caring family environment and to be protected from all forms of violence are, as you said, Georgia's obligation to its children. But this will also provide the necessary conditions for Georgia's prosperity. The Parliament has declared 2014 as the year of protection of the rights of the child and has committed to develop a number of laws and policies that will ensure that children's rights are fully respected. The UNICEF Executive Director acknowledged this a few weeks ago in his opening speech at the Executive Board in New York. The government has acknowledged the challenges and has committed to address them by including them in the National Human Rights Action Plan. We in UNICEF commit to be fully supportive of your efforts, and we look forward to today's discussions to identify how we can move forward more decisively towards our common objective. Thank you very much.